So who we have here with us, Shaylin Phoenix, and he is a shipping and finishing supervisor at the plant in Arcadia, the Weyerhaeuser plant in Arcadia, where they make OSB board. So welcome, Shaylin. We're happy to have you here with us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So the first thing we wanted to ask was, what is OSB and what is it used for?
OSB is oriented stranded board. It's where we take a 1-inch by 5-inch flake, put resin and wax on it, lay it on a mat, send it into a press where it's compressed, heated where the press is 415 degrees at any time, pressed to a specific thickness, and then it's cut up into usually 4x8 sheets and sent out. And what oriented stranded board is used for, it's used in building floors, building walls, roofs even. So anything to do with a house or a home is what oriented stranded board is used for.
So do all Weyerhaeuser plants produce OSB, or are there other things that are produced at Weyerhaeuser plants?
No, Weyerhaeuser is they have mills all over North America and Canada, where they make veneer, where we make plywood, and lumber mills as well. So, I mean, it's a lot of stuff, a lot that mills make across the United States for Weyerhaeuser.
How long have you been with Weyerhaeuser, or familiar with what they do?
With Weyerhaeuser, I've been here 4.5 years right now.
Okay. So this may or may not be something you're familiar with, but one of the things I want to try to capture is kind of how have things changed in your industry since the time of our parents, right? Like, you always kind of maybe look back about 30 years or so and you say, how did things go back then? Compared then to now, what sorts of things have changed in this industry?
Well, I would say it's more engineered
Okay.
than it used to be. And technology is used a lot more as a control. You have the wax and the resin that we use has actually changed. The types of wood that is used has changed. And the equipment has changed to be able to handle those different types of wood.
Would you say that in terms of the people that actually are there making a plant run, have the skill sets changed that are required for those people, relative to maybe 30 years ago?
Oh, well, yeah, of course. As it gets more technical, you need a different type of person to run that piece of equipment. We have a lot of complex pieces of equipment that takes a certain skill set to be able to operate and understand.
So, how would someone best prepare themselves in that environment to be ready to come into that, in your opinion?
In my opinion, some of the jobs here, you have to have a working knowledge of computers. A lot of it, some of it programming, because we have different programs that are used to say if how far a log indexes into a strander. That is a program. So, I mean, you have to understand the inner workings of the program, a lot of these jobs, and some of them you don't, but some of them you do.
Would you say the ratio of jobs where you've got to be somewhat technically savvy versus ones where you just show up and work, would you say that has shifted heavily toward needing technical folks? since 30 years ago?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I mean, anybody, I say anybody, I take that back. It's easy to pick up a shovel. I put it to you like that. But
Yeah.
to operate some of this equipment, I mean, you have operators that are sitting in front of 6 screens at one time that has different operational functions for the meal. And you have to be able to understand what's going on each screen. So, yeah, I would definitely say so.
Sounds a little bit like a video game.
It could be, except you're dealing with a lot of heat and a lot of fire here. So I wouldn't call it a video game. I'd be scared of that.
The consequences are more dire.
The consequences of it, yeah.
Well, would you say, in kind of preparation to deal with some of that technical stuff, would you say that, getting a degree in something technical would be helpful for that?
Most definitely. If you could have that as a skill set, it would definitely be useful in this day and age because, like we were just saying, 30 years ago, we didn't have this technology to do the things that we're able to do.
Is it the kind of thing where you would need a 2-year degree or 4-year degree, or would you kind of have spots for both, both people with 2 or 4?
Yeah, it can go 2 or 4. It doesn't necessarily have to be a 4-year degree.
Yeah, so that would be less investment of time, I would imagine, for a student who's thinking about trying to just get a better career going. Getting a 2-year degree is a lot of times a little bit less of a hill to climb when they're looking at it at that point.
Yeah. 2 years would probably take less effort than, or time, definite time than 4 years.
Shayla, I'm just curious, when you have a job opening inside the plant, do you usually try to fill that from within the plant, or do you go outside? You advertise outside, or do you is it easy to transfer from job to job within your facility?
It is, and it depends on the skill set and the qualifications for that job. Most entry-level jobs are interviewed for, come from outside. A lot of the jobs that you move up, step up, if it's a maturation of skills or whatever, that's usually done from inside.
Okay, so there's a progression. You
it
go
is.
From level to, okay, I see.
Yeah.
What's a
Do you
typical?
make more than one product there? Is OSB the only product you make at your facility, or is there other products?
Well, everything we make here is OSB, but where we differ from other mills, Weyerhaeuser mills, we have over 30 SKUs. So we make 30 different products, over 30 products, but it's all OSB, but it's either different sizes, it's either sheet.
Oh, I see.
Tongue and groove. Yeah.
Different grades, different
right.
sizes. Okay.
How long would you say a typical employee would stay with Weyerhaeuser in maybe a plant like you're in, or I guess with the company more generally? Is that something where people come and they stay a long time, or is there kind of some in and out?
Well, this plant is over a little over 25 years old. And we have 25-year vets here.
Wow.
We do have turnover. It's not necessarily high. Maybe it's higher for the new jobs, but once you get in and you progress, I mean, we have them from 6 months to 25 years. We have people that have transferred in that have 30 years. So, but Weyerhaeuser as a whole has been voted year after year one of the best companies to work for.
Very good. When you start looking at an employee to hire, do you just look at their educational attainment, or are there a set of other traits that you feel like are as important or more important maybe even than what their education consisted of?
Yeah, I do. First of all, you want a person that wants a job and not necessarily a paycheck.
Yeah.
You find that a lot. But coming in and the way that this plan is structured, you would want a person that is goal oriented but team focused, which means you want to be able to attain a goal, but you have to understand that you're going to need somebody else to do it. You're going to have to be able to work well with others. You're going to have to be able to work independently, because there are a lot of times where you're out there and you're by yourself. And I mean, there's no supervisor just telling you what to do every step of the way. Once you learn that job and you know your job, you should be able to do it and want to do it and take ownership of it. The same things, great work ethic. But for me, first and foremost, you have to be goal oriented and team focused.
Yeah, that probably applies to quite a few different industrial fields, or kind of anywhere in life, right? Those are the basic life skills that make you valuable wherever you go, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Well, I've noticed that in the job interviews that I've been on through the years, it seems like they're becoming more behavior oriented. I would say, because their employers tend to I feel like look at traits that they can't necessarily teach an individual, things that have to do with your attitude and behavior, right, and things. So they tend to look at people more like, can he be a team player? Can he get along? Does he, like you were saying, does he want to excel at this? Does he want to take ownership? Which is a very good way to describe that. But then and then I mean, there are certain skills that you can teach somebody how to do a job a lot easier than you can teach somebody to get along with people or have a good behavior. So that there's definitely a trend, I feel like, toward looking for people. Not that the technical side is not important, but can you get along with somebody?
Right, and I think that's real important. If you can come into a place and you want to learn and you show initiative to wanting to learn, there's no height that you can't reach. And every company wants a person like that. You don't want a person that wants to be stagnant and stay in one place and be happy there. I mean, you don't want that.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned a minute ago about how you need people who are able to operate independently. And so that actually brings up a good question. Let's say you get a brand new, maybe with a high school education or something, brand new employee there. How long does it take typically before someone is operating independently once they come on?
And this depends on the job. It varies, but when you're first hired, you go through a week-long orientation process. And the training programs, they differ for each job. One might be 4 weeks, one might be 12 weeks. We have some jobs that it might take you a year to fully learn. So on that part, it varies, and it depends upon the job.
So let's say you're doing a supervisory job, kind of like yours. Mm-hmm. About how long, I mean, what's that career trajectory to get to that stage?
I can tell you my trajectory.
Well, sometimes that's the only answer we can come up with, right? But
yeah, I can tell you when I started at an entry-level position. Within a year, I started in the quality control lab. Well, no, I'll take that back. Within that year, I made press operator, dry operator training. Within the next year, I made it into the quality control lab. And a year after that, I was a supervisor, running a shift by myself.
Well, that sounds like a pretty fast progression there? Is that pretty fast relative to what you've seen?
It is fast, but I'll tell you what I did. When I started, I learned every position I could learn. So the way I feel about it, I made value for myself. I learned enough to where I could go any place, do anything that they needed me to do. I could operate the equipment. I could do whatever they needed me to do. And they knew that I took pride in what I did. And they knew I was going to work hard at it. So it was fast for me. You have some guys that might work 5 years and don't get to that point. But it depends upon your work ethic, your initiative, and what you make out of it.
So I think it sounds like you're saying it's really up to you, sort of.
It is. It is. You can go as high as you want to. The guy that's currently the operations manager here started on the floor. He started on the floor, a regular hand, and he's now operations manager within 13 years.
Wow. That seems fast too.
Yeah.
So give me an example. So, I know that a typical day, you're probably watching the machines run, watching what people are doing and that kind of stuff. So, that may not be exciting. Give me an example of something that could go wrong, and then all of a sudden you've got to have to put your thinking cap on and figure out what to do about it.
Oh, that would be an easy one. I would say we have, I say pneumatic pipes that run everywhere. We have what we call bag houses. You might have a fire in a bag house, and all the pneumatics they're connected. So you have to figure out how to isolate the fire, the smoke, and make sure nobody gets hurt in the process. But you have to figure out how far down it is or how far up it is so you can isolate it. And that might be 15 minutes into shift. It might be 8 hours in the shift. But that's one thing that could happen that will, get your thinking cap on, because you have pipes running everywhere. So, you just have to think about, well, okay, where this could have started, and just trace it down and back to its original source.
So that sounds like, there's some troubleshooting that certainly sounds like it's part of what you do.
Definitely, it is. It is. And sometimes I've been here and let's say electrically, a drive goes out. You have a piece of equipment that all of a sudden won't run. And you have to figure out why it won't run. Sometimes it's in the program that you have to go in the program and figure out why this piece of machinery is not moving. Because like I go back to, there's a program for everything that moves here. So that's a good one there.
I assume a lot of what you think about is safety too, huh?
That's a big thing. That's the first thing that you go over here is, I want to make, as a shift supervisor, I want to make sure you go home the same way you came. And safety is a culture here. So it's a very big emphasis put on safety. You spend a week with the safety guy before you even go onto the floor. So if that tells you anything.
Yep. I would not expect something else, but sometimes it's hard for someone who hasn't yet been in an industrial setting to realize just how many operations in typical industrial settings are focused around safety. So good for them to hear that.
Yeah.
So if someone was reluctant to take a job in an industrial environment like you have, what would you tell them? Let's say, they're going to be ready before you put them out there in that kind of environment. Correct? There would be.
Without a shadow of a doubt. Everything is hands-on. Like I said, you spend a week with the safety guy where you go over every safety procedure that we have put in place. You will know where every guard is. You will know where every piece of movement equipment is. You'll know what is in place to stop you or to stop that machinery, whether it's a laser barrier or just a regular guard that's put up in place to say, well, you can't go beyond this point. And just so you know where all the hazards are. Because even if you're working on a piece of equipment, you have to lock it out, you have to tag it out, you have to call and verify to make sure that that equipment is not going to move, even if you have to get inside it. So you don't hit the floor without knowing where everything is.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to know. I don't have too many more here, but I would like to hear for your industry, making OSB, oriented strand board, what's kind of the new thing that's coming along? Is there something new coming along, or you feel like it's just you've perfected it and this is the way we're gonna keep doing it for forever?
Well, I can't say what's coming along. It will steadily change. I know that. But here recently, we just redone all of our PLCs. We had a whole transition that was phased in to where we had to go through each one to get those updated. And that's the last thing. I don't know if anything that might be downstream. It could be anything, but that's the last big technical upgrade that we need here at
Okay. If you don't mind me asking, what brand did you go with?
I don't even know the name of the brand. It's you name them, and let me see if I recognize.
Was it Siemens?
No,
not Siemens. Was it Allen Bradley?
Allen Bradley.
No,
Allen Bradley.
It was.
It was Allen Bradley. Yeah, I'm glad you said it because I would remember. Yeah, it was Allen Bradley.
Well, that's and then I guess what really impresses me about that is, change is expected, right? That's how I interpret your attitude there. Is that it's like, we don't expect it to just stay the same here forward, right? You expect there's going to be change, and that's an example of it right there. You had to change all your controllers.
Yeah,
That's a whole set of new things to learn, probably, right?
it is.
Yeah. Well, good deal. Gary, you got anything?
Well, I was curious about when do you have shift work there? Do people rotate shifts, or do you have just day crews, or how a new employee comes to work for you? Can he expect to be a day worker, or will he be put on a rotating kind of shift?
Usually a new employee, when they start, they stay on days for 1 month. But we do rotate shifts. We have 4 actual teams that we rotate every 12 hours. The schedule is complex. You wouldn't understand it if I tried to explain it to you. There are 4 teams and we rotate, and they're 12-hour shifts. But a new person would stay on days for 1 month before they go to shift.
Okay. Then he could pretty much count on being on shift for his career.
Well, not necessarily. It depends on. We have day hands. We have day people that work.
Okay, depending on the job.
Yeah, it's just depending on the job. Yeah.
So I assume as a supervisor, you probably have to do shifts. Is that fair to say?
I did. When I was running a team before I went to shipping and finishing, I worked shift. So I rotated with my team every time. So I work days and nights. But now currently I'm on straight days.
Is your maintenance crew, are they shift or day?
We have a day crew, which is called a bull crew. We have 3 shift maintenance guys that are assigned to each team. Usually we'll have a multi-craft, a millwright, an electrician. And sometimes you have a multi-craft is a electrician and millwright. But so it just depends on how it breaks down. But you'll have an electrician and a millwright on every team. And
those are different pay scales. The more crafts that you're qualified for, that I guess that advances your pay.
It does, and they have what they call them modules that you have to take to move up. So you have to be able to display that you know, or you have a certain set of skills to move on. So there are tests that they have to take each time before they're promoted up, and that's how that usually works.
Okay. So there's an incentive in learning even in maintenance. The more qualified you are, the more different trades that you know, you get a higher pay higher pay scale.
Yeah, most definitely. The more you know, the better it is for you.
That seemed to be your philosophy when you hired on.
It is. It is. I believe you have to make yourself valuable. Yeah.
Make yourself indispensable.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it.
That's good. Good advice. I think that's all I have, Mikey.
All right. Well, Shaylin, we sure appreciate you sitting down with us and telling us about this. And, for anyone who's watching this interview, I hope you will think about these things and, start looking at industrial careers as an option, and keep in mind that there are several good educational opportunities that are out there. Gary is the instructor at Delta Community College, and he teaches instrumentation and control systems there, or I guess it's just instrumentation is the name of the program, Gary?
Instrumentation technologies.
I'm a professor at Louisiana Tech University, and we have a program here that's called Instrumentation and Control Systems Engineering Technology. So those are two opportunities that are out there. The degree we have here at Tech's a 4-year degree. The one they have at Delta is a 2-year degree. But those are both great pathways toward getting into an opportunity like this. And, maybe that'll be your leg up, and before you know it, you'll be running a crew, or you'll be supervising a shift or something like that, just like Shaylin does. So any last words to the students there, Shaylin?
Well, always do your best and take pride in what you do. The more you love what you do, the better off you'll be. And it's all about you. There's, like I said, there's no ceiling, no height you cannot reach if you apply yourself and do it.
And that sounds like a great last word. So
very good.
I appreciate you being here with us. And so stay safe, and we sure appreciate, you're sitting down with us.
All right. Wish you guys nothing but the best.
All right. Thank you, man.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.